Hey y'all, it's Indigo here. As promised, here comes the companion video to the video I made a couple days ago about 11 3v3 squads for defense that might stump your opponent. Well, here's the video I promised. This is 11 offense squads that you can use to crush your opponent with the rest of the roster that's left over if you set those defense squads that were in that video. So there's a lot of offensive power left, and I'm going to show you just what good squads you can make, and then there will also be some good enough stuff left over that you can use, should things go sideways and you end up needing to do a second or third battle if it comes to that. So here's the first set of squads. I know these will look familiar to pretty much everybody playing this game. If you don't set them on defense, you're going to have left over your Jedi Knight Revan team with Jedi Revan, of course, as the lead, Grandmaster Yoda, and then Jolee makes a pretty competent third just because he can revive and he can heal and give protection up. Again, that team works really well. I pretty much call these teams my skeleton keys because they'll get you past any zone where you happen to be stuck. You can even utilize them to take out Darth Revan squads if needed. So these top three teams are the ones that will get the job done if there's a troublesome team and you're not quite sure if the counter you normally use could take it because your opponent may be modded better than you. These are one of the teams that'll get it done. So after Jedi Revan, y'all know CLS lead. He's got all the Zetas on there. Chewie is double Zeta, and of course Han with the Zeta. Those three are like the Rebel trio. They definitely complement each other with the guard ability and the fact that Chewie will assist whenever the others do their abilities. Again, you can use this team to counter Jedi Revan, Darth Revan. You can mirror match it. You can take out a Traya team. I mean, these are your top teams that are very versatile and make great offensive weapons. They do work great on defense too, but I don't know about y'all, but I like having the punching power to be able to know that I can get through whatever team is standing in my way and see what's waiting for me in the next zone. So that's your CLS team. Make sure it's modded for damage, and you'll be good to go there. The third team you can see there is not quite the triumvirate. If you'll know from the other video, I use Scion under an EP lead because you'll want Traya, Darth Nihilus, and Thrawn. That's going to be your primary Jedi Knight Revan counter. Works really well. There's videos that I put out on it too, showing you exactly how that works. Thrawn provides much more control, and you'll want him for his fracture to keep keep 1/3 of the enemy team sidelined. But the fact that he can give protection back and throw turn meter to wherever you need it is a huge plus. So that's why we have Thrawn there, and he makes up the third for your Traya and Nihilus. And he's able to give Nihilus a bunch of turns so that he can get Annihilate off faster if needed. Again, these are going to be your top three. If you don't use them on defense, they're going to be your best offensive weapons. All right, let's move on to the next section, and I'll show you those teams. The fourth offensive team is going to be your JTR team. You go ahead and run her as lead with BB-8 and then R2 as the third. You want to use R2 here because of the level of control he'll provide the team with his stuns. The fact that his burning can get a crit on the whole team if you have him modded for crit chance, and that he can hide and you can basically force taunt on him or on BB-8 depending on who you're going up against. They're a very versatile team, not quite as much as the skeleton key teams that I mentioned earlier, but these are your next best bet. They can get you through First Order, Bounty Hunters, General Grievous teams, a host of other teams. So they make a really good offensive weapon to have. The next team is going to be number 5, a Bosk Bounty Hunter team. And you don't necessarily have to use Bosk as a lead. A lot of people put this team on defense. I like to too. But I was recently enlightened by a guildmate as to how good they are on offense, especially against teams like Nightsisters, Mother Towson with the Plague, and the fact that with Boss's leader ability, being able to heal up as fast as they do, it makes it really efficient for taking out Nightsisters, because then you don't necessarily have to waste a Treya team. You might want to save your Treya if they put Nest in the back and you need Treya and Nihilus to get the job done. So the fact that you'll have these bounty hunter teams and they can take out Nightsisters, which are typically the teams that give people trouble with Zombie and with the Plague, you know, that gets to be a real pain and can cause people to go multiple battles. So I have Bosk as lead, and that's the preferred way because then his leadership ability makes him a lot more tanky. But if for some reason you needed it, Django's there too. You could switch him up and put Django lead, and then you've got that speed bonus if you're trying to outspeed some enemy team and, you know, you just need that speed boost. I do have the unique Zeta on Django. You don't necessarily need his lead Zeta, but the unique is a great weapon against Nightsisters because anytime he kills something, they stay dead. I think besides Zombie. But if he kills the other ones, they're not going to come back and be revived. So he's a great weapon to have. And then Boba, of course. You have him, he'll be able to do some serious damage. And with his execute, they're not coming back either. So that gives you quite a few options to be able to tank out the Plague. And then when you can get your shot in, whenever you can get around Zombie, the fact that they can ignore the taunt and target who they want is a huge plus. But once they do get around that, they can take them out and they're going to stay dead. So definitely a good team to have for Nightsisters, but they are pretty versatile. They'll take out a bunch of other different team comps as well. So it might be something to consider, you know, changing up in your next 3v3 Grand Arena match. Give it some thought. All right, and team number 6, you can see down there is Crew First Order. A lot of people still like to use this team on defense, and that's fine. But I personally do like to keep that one for offense. I've been using it on offense for a while now. It's a good counter, not only against a mirror, because so many people do like to put their First Order on defense, but beside being a mirror, it's great for taking out enemy Bosk Bounty Hunter squads because of Crew's special ability. It's an irresistible 2-turn stun, so he can go first move, and chances are you'll outspeed the enemy Bosk, but you can do it even if you don't outspeed him, and put that stun on him, and if you do outspeed him, he's not going to get the taunt off, and then that way you can target whoever he has on the side, like Boba. You know, usually it's Bosk and Dengar and Boba. Take out Boba or anyone else if they're the squishiest one, and then you can go to work on Bosk and get him down, and then do Dengar last if he's there. That's typically how it works. But you can also use your First Order team to take out a Karth team, Karth, Mission, and Zalbar, because they're going to be healing so much from Crew's leadership. Anytime they get a status effect, like a buff or a debuff, they heal health and protection. So all those dots are going to actually help heal them, at least keep them even. You know, they're not going to kill them like they would some other squad. And both Crew, if you use him, and then you could choose to put Xylo in there. I have First Order Stormtrooper. Just, it depends on the squad that you're up against. Against bounty hunters, I like the Stormtrooper because he can tank out some hits and help with the taunting. He also gives advantage, and that's nice to be able to fuel up the Executioner there. But a lot of people do use Xylo, and that's fine. I didn't put him on defense in any of those squads, so he is available if you need to substitute him based on who you're going against. So there is some wiggle room and, room to modify if you need it. And then the third member of the squad you can see there, I already mentioned, is Executioner. The reason you use him, of course, he's the best on offense, and the fact that whenever he crits, he keeps gaining max health, and then he gets bonus offense, which is 5% of his max health. He's going to keep building up and building up the longer the match goes and the more hits that he gets in. So you want him to be able to, if you're going against bounty hunters and they got a Bosk lead, they've got that bonus defense as long as they have protection. He'll be able to hit through it, and then even if they heal back, he'll be able to keep chomping at him, and it's only going to get stronger and stronger, as he builds up. And then eventually you'll be able to get underneath that protection, and they'll lose that extra defense, and then he'll be able to one-hit KO him the next time he attacks. And that's how that works. I mean, it's pretty simple. Just keep your Executioner alive, power him up. If you're using Stormtrooper, you want to, I had the Zeta on there so that he can call assists and give advantage. That's only going to help your Executioner get his job done. So that's why that squad works so well. Let's go ahead and move on to the next set of squads, and I'll show you what else there is. Okay, squad number 7. This is the Nightsisters that we didn't use for the defensive team. You'll have left MT, Asajj, and then Spirit. Here I went with MT lead, but it's going to vary based on your opponent. All these teams do. Once you get your opponent, see what their roster is, that's going to dictate what teams you should be putting down and what you need to be saving for offense. This just gives you an idea. But if you went with the teams that I mentioned in my defensive video, these are the Nightsisters that you'll have left. And most times you'll want to run MT lead. That way she can put down the Plague, and you can take out a lot of teams that way. And then even if someone dies, she's got that mechanic in her lead with the Zeta where they're going to come back and help to kill somebody. And then if you get the kill, they'll stay alive. Well, even once they come back and die off, that's going to power up Asajj, so it's going to make her that much stronger. So this is a pretty good team for offense. They can take out most teams, and that's the whole goal for offense is you want teams that you can use on a variety. You don't want to be stuck with the stuff you save for offense, and it's only good against their Ewok squad, so you got to hope they put that down on defense. No, you want something that'll be able to take out that, say, okay, this will be good if they put down Ewoks, Phoenix, Rogue One, Rebels, whatever the teams are. You can say this is what level of counter it is. And you just have to know that and what kind of strength is on your team and what type of tier of opponent you could take out. So these are pretty strong. You may not be taking out a Darth Revan team, but you sure could clean up something, or you sure could take out another powerful team. So that's Nightsisters. You've got the next team on the list, team number 8, is EP lead, EP with Vader, and then Scion. You want to use them because in one of the top tier teams I mentioned was Traya with Darth Nihilus, and then Thrawn. Thrawn takes Scion's place in the Triumvirate because he provides more control when you're going against Jedi Knight Revan and other teams. Well, since you have Scion left over, he's a pretty powerful character. So putting him under EP lead is kind of a natural. You got that Sith synergy, the fact that he also lands debuffs, so he's going to speed up the team. The fact that he has a really powerful AoE. So the way this team works and what it works well against is if your opponent puts down some Nightsisters and it's Asajj lead, a lot of people like to run Asajj, Zombie, and Acolyte. And if they do that and you don't have to worry about Mother Talzin with Plague, and is just Asajj, that's easy. All you need to do is run this team, and Sion's going to be powerful enough that he'll be able to use his AoE once he gets powered up with his Held by Hatred buff, and the AoE is going to knock out Acolyte in one go. So whether you have to do that a few times, or whether you can get Asajj killed down and kill off zombies, where she dies to revive the other sisters, however you want to do it. Or you can, even if you get lucky and line it up right, have the sisters die off by Vader's dots at the beginning of their turn, and then they don't revive. And I have several videos out using that team as a counter to Nightsisters. But they do work well as a counter to other teams. It just really depends on what squads your opponent has out. But Sion really is, a powerful component that makes that team a little more solid. If you didn't have him, I don't feel like you'd be able to take out near as tough of a team if you ran across something that your opponent put on defense. And with him, he can get the job done, even if he ends up having a solo and is just him, as long as he can keep getting his Held by Hatred ability off and getting that buff. So consider using that team as a really good team for offense, and definitely good against Nightsisters. That's something you really want to focus on, because a lot of people out there, and maybe it's your situation and maybe it's not, but a lot of people out there see Nightsisters and it's like, oh, I got to burn my Traya. Well, what if they also put Jedi Knight Revan, and you got to get through that too? You only get one Traya, one Thrawn. So coming up with Nightsister counters that, because everyone's got Nightsisters and you're going to run across them eventually, it's a good thing. The more Nightsister counters we can come up with. But like I said, this team's tough enough that they'll work well against some other teams out there. You just got to check them out, see what it is, and see if your team can take it. So that's it for that team. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, team number 9. That's going to be your Bastila team. Run her as the lead with Ezra, mainly for he's the damage dealer. And then for the third, I have Qui-Gon Jinn. The reason I picked him was because he was the other Jedi that I had leveled up the most, and he was sitting at gear 11 for the longest time because I used to use him, back in the day for raids and in the arena way back when, but I never did put his Zeta on him, so he really didn't get much use outside of that. And I finally decided I'm going to put the last piece to gear 12 on him so that he'll be a little bit sturdy and I could start getting some use out of him. If you have all these characters in your roster that are gear 8, 9, 10, 11, whatever, but they're just too squishy to actually get some use out of unless you put 1 or 2 pieces on them, consider doing that to turn them from a useless just ornament sitting in your inventory into something you can actually get some use out of. And the use you'll get out of him is the fact that on this team, okay, he can dispel buffs, he can also call assists, and he's pretty fast. It doesn't take a lot of work to get him, up to a decent speed. So he makes an ideal third, and the most important reason is I don't really have any other Jedi leveled up. I mean, except for Mace Windu, but until he gets a rework, he sucks. So if you are one of those that has like Ayla leveled up, great, put her in. The stuns will come in clutch. You'll use those. But I don't happen to have her. I don't have Kit Fisto. I don't have I'm a Gundai. So without those, Qui-Gon Jinn was my next best step. So throw him in there. But he is good because of, like I said, his dispel and the fact that he can call assists. So he makes a nice third. You'll want Bastila lead because she gives the extra tenacity and extra protection. That's going to give your team some survivability. And you'll be able to go up against debuff heavy teams, like if you come across an EP team on defense, Or if you come across a Karth team, this is another team that works really well against one of those Karth dot teams, because as long as they have that bonus protection that they start with, they're going to have extra tenacity and be resistant to those dots. So you can shut that team down. And like I said, with the fact that everyone on that team has a dispel, that's a plus. So look at that. You want her for the lead, then Ezra. Like I said, he's the damage dealer. You want him to get the big hits. He can call Bastila to assist. That way she can put ability block down. He's got his own dispel. You know, so obviously he makes an ideal candidate for this team. They go really well together. And in 3v3, you're likely not going to use him on your Jedi Revan team. Not if you already have Grandmaster Yoda there. So consider that. And then I gave you my reasons as to why Qui-Gon Jinn makes a great third. But, you know, you could sub him out with someone else. You just had to try it and see how it works out for you. But again, it's a team with a lot of utility. You want to be able to take out multiple teams. You don't want to just say, okay, they have an enemy EP team, and as long as they put that down, I know I can counter that. Well, no, you want to also be able to counter, you know, a Karth dot team. Everybody puts one of those out because everybody's got their Jedi Revan or Darth Revan, and you have to have that team for that. So chances are you're going to run across one. Well, it's great to have a good counter. Or if you're countering their enemy Darth Revan team and you did CLS and got maybe one or two of them down, you can send in your Bastila team to mop up and finish it off. And they work well because of that extra tenacity and the bonus protection that they start out with. And she gives them a speed boost. So they make a great utility team to do some cleanup, and they can take out several squads just on their own. And most times they're going to guarantee you the 54 banners because they start out with so much extra bonus protection. As long as you have them modded correctly, they can put in work and take out the enemy team before even Qui-Gon Jinn gets his, you know, he's squishy before he even gets his bonus protection down. So then you'll finish with full health, full protection. Everybody gets full points. So definitely want to consider that when you're looking for offense. Any team that will allow you to finish with full banners, that's a big win. All right. All right, let me go over the last two teams here on my list. Team number 10 is a Kira team. You've got Kira lead, you've got Nest, and then you've got Hermit Yoda. I'm sure you guys have probably seen this team in action. It's pretty versatile. Again, it can take out a lot of teams. Sometimes even just Nest by herself can solo teams like Ewoks, you know, if your opponent puts them down. But when you have Kira for the lead, she'll give bonuses and bonus protection to Nest. And then Hermit Yoda is just there kind of as your insurance policy. The fact that he can give out the Master's Training buff and heal, and if you have the Zeta, it'll heal back protection as well. I mean, that's a huge plus. That's just more survivability for Nest. So most of the time on this team, Kira will die off, and it's fine if she does. It's kind of preferred because Yoda will go into stealth, and then they can just only target Nest. And the more they do, the more she's going to counterattack and end up doing big damage. So this is a team that people use that can even take out meta teams. It can take out a Jedi Knight Revan team. You know, if things go your way and the battle goes on long enough, you can definitely take them out. I've also used this team successfully against Nightsisters whenever there's not an MT on the team and it's just a Saj, Acolyte, and Zombie, or if they did a Saj with Daka and Spirit, Nest will get the job done. As long as you don't have to worry about Plague, she'll go in and eventually do big enough damage that she can take them out on counterattacks. So there's a a decent range of teams that she'll be able to take out, and includes the low level teams, like if they put in a Rogue One team or an Ewok team, or just Phoenix, or even leftover rebels like Wigs or something that they know they're not going to use on offense. All your C grade teams, and like I said, some of the top tier teams, just depending on how it's modded and what your opponent has, Nest can take care of. So once you have Kira Lead in there as well, and Hermit Yoda to help support with the healing, like I said, just an insurance policy, you can get some work done. So that's that team. And the last team is the Padme Galactic Empire team. I know that team's new, and we don't have all the kinks figured out yet, but you want to use her. She can take out a Nightsister team. She can take out Jedi. She can take out other teams that you might come across, just with all the synergy with Galactic Republic and her protection up buffs. So that's definitely a team that you want to have available. Again, the reason being that it's a lot of utility. You can go up against several different kinds of teams and not have to worry about coming across one specific team and that's the counter for it. No, you've got options. You can take out several different kinds of teams. So if that's what you got for offense, and you've got 11 teams that can all take out multiple kinds of other teams, you should be sitting pretty. So there you are. There's your 11 teams that you can use to crush your opponent on offense. And you'll know if your roster is anything like mine, you're going to have plenty of leftover characters that you can still make teams. Like, I didn't use Ewoks. I didn't use Rex Wampa. Those are options that you'll still have if for some reason you lost and needed to do a second or third battle against somebody. You've got all those. You've got your Wigs. You've got your, Leia and Akbar. So there are other characters that I didn't make into squads just because this video would go on forever. But it all depends on your roster and what you have. Hopefully this video is giving you some idea of what is possible, so that you don't end up with the same standard teams on defense that everybody uses, and then you have the same things on offense. So maybe it'll give you a little bit of variety and teach you to, think in different ways. Hope it helps. Shout out to my buddy Mikayas. He runs a modding service. He'll go through, make sure you got the right squad compositions and the right mods on the right characters. Give your account a real nice tune-up. I'll put the link to his Discord in my description. Go ahead and check him out. Tell him Indigo sent you. Thanks for watching my video, guys. If you enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe, share your comments down below, and hopefully you'll check out my other videos on my channel. Peace.